Picture this. You're standing at the edge of a cliff, the wind whipping through your hair, the vast expanse of the ocean stretching out before you. The waves crash against the rocks below, a powerful, unrelenting force. In many ways, this scene is a metaphor for our emotional lives. Our emotions can feel like those crashing waves, powerful, unpredictable, and sometimes overwhelming. But what if I told you that the ancient Stoics held the key to navigating these turbulent emotional waters? That their wisdom, honed over centuries, could be the lighthouse guiding us towards a calmer, more fulfilling existence. In this video, we'll embark on a journey through 7 transformative Stoic lessons. These are not just abstract philosophical ideas, but practical, actionable insights that you can start applying to your life today. By the end, you'll have a toolkit for mastering your emotions, for finding your anchor in the midst of life's storms. But before we dive in, I have a small favor to ask. If you find value in this content, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Your support helps me to continue sharing these life-changing philosophical insights. So, are you ready to embark on this journey of self-discovery and emotional mastery? Let's begin. Lesson 1. Understand what's in your control. The first lesson from the Stoics is perhaps the most fundamental. Understanding what's in your control and what isn't. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, put it this way: some things are in our control and others not. It sounds simple, but let's unpack it. Every day we're faced with a myriad of situations. Some, like our thoughts, actions, and attitudes, are within our control. Others, like the weather, traffic, or the actions of others, are not. Here's where it gets interesting. The Stoics believed that our well-being doesn't depend on external events, but on how we interpret and respond to them. In other words, it's not the event itself, but our judgment about the event that causes our emotional response. Think about the last time you were stuck in traffic. You might have gotten frustrated, anxious about being late, or just plain angry. But the traffic itself didn't cause those emotions. It was your interpretation of the situation. Now imagine approaching the same situation with a Stoic mindset. You recognize that the traffic is out of your control. Instead of getting upset, you use the extra time to listen to a podcast, practice mindfulness, or plan out your day. Suddenly, the experience is transformed. Internalizing this lesson is a game changer. It means that we can find tranquility and contentment regardless of our external circumstances. It's a path to true emotional freedom. Of course, putting this into practice takes work. It requires constant mindfulness, catching ourselves when we start to stress about things beyond our control. But with practice, it becomes second nature. So as you go about your day, ask yourself, is this something I can control? If yes, take action. If no, practice acceptance. By focusing your energy where it can actually make a difference, you'll find a greater sense of peace and empowerment. Lesson 2. Reflect before reacting. In our fast-paced, always-on world, the idea of pausing to reflect can feel like a luxury. But the Stoics understood that this space between stimulus and response is where our power lies. Imagine getting an email from your boss criticizing your recent work. Your initial impulse might be to fire back a defensive response or to dwell on the criticism, letting it ruin your day. But what if instead you took a step back? What if you gave yourself the space to process the feedback, to consider it objectively, to formulate a thoughtful, measured response? This is the power of reflection. It's not about suppressing your emotions, but about understanding them. It's about creating a gap between trigger and reaction. A space in which you can choose how to respond rather than simply reacting. The Stoics practiced this through journaling, through meditation, through regularly checking in with their thoughts and emotions. They understood that our first impressions are often colored by our biases, our past experiences, our current mood. By reflecting, we can separate the facts from our interpretations, the objective reality from our subjective narrative. This practice is transformative in relationships. How many arguments could be avoided if we took the time to really listen, to consider the other person's perspective, to respond with empathy and understanding? It's equally powerful in our personal lives. By reflecting on our thoughts and emotions, we can start to identify patterns, to understand our triggers, to cultivate greater self-awareness. Next time you find yourself in a challenging situation, remember this lesson. Take a step back, breathe, reflect. You might be surprised at the clarity and insight that emerges. Lesson 3. Practice dispassion. Dispassion might sound like a strange goal. After all, aren't we supposed to be passionate about life? But for the Stoics, dispassion wasn't about eliminating emotions. It was about developing a healthy detachment, a way of experiencing life's ups and downs without being overwhelmed by them. Imagine watching a movie. You're invested in the story, you feel for the characters, but a part of you always knows that it's just a movie. You don't leap out of your seat to save the hero or yell at the villain. There's a healthy separation between you and the on-screen drama. This is the essence of dispassion. It's about engaging with life, but not being consumed by it. It's about riding the waves of emotion without being swept away by them. In practical terms, this might mean listening to political news without getting riled up, being excited for an opportunity without being attached to the outcome, or experiencing a disappointment without letting it define you. Cultivating dispassion doesn't mean you stop caring. On the contrary, it allows you to care deeply without being controlled by your emotions. It allows you to experience life fully, but with a sense of equanimity, a steadiness amidst the storm. This can be especially powerful in situations of conflict or stress. When emotions are running high, dispassion allows us to step back, to see the bigger picture, to respond with clarity and wisdom rather than reactivity. Of course, practicing dispassion is a journey. It requires regular check-ins with our emotions, a willingness to observe and understand rather than immediately react. But over time, it can lead to a profound sense of inner peace, a resilience in the face of life's challenges. Lesson 4. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? Perspective is a powerful thing. When we're caught up in the heat of the moment, every problem can feel like a catastrophe. Every setback can feel like the end of the world. But the Stoics invite us to take a longer view. One of their most powerful tools for gaining perspective is the question, will this matter in 5 years? Think about the last time you got caught up in a petty argument, or stressed out over a work deadline, or felt slighted by a friend's comment. In the moment, these things can feel all-consuming. But now, with the benefit of hindsight, do they still carry the same weight? Asking ourselves whether something will matter in 5 years is a way of zooming out, of distinguishing between the truly important and the merely urgent. It's a reminder that most of our daily stresses and struggles are, in the grand scheme of things, quite trivial. This isn't to say that our present experiences are unimportant. It's not about dismissing our feelings or challenges. Rather, it's about putting them in context, about recognizing that we have a choice in how much power we give them. When we ask ourselves this question, it can instantly shift our perspective. Suddenly, that argument with a coworker seems less catastrophic. That traffic jam becomes a minor inconvenience rather than a day-ruining event. More importantly, this question can help us focus on what really matters. It can guide us to invest our time and energy into the things that will make a difference in the long run. Our relationships, our personal growth, our contributions to the world. So next time you find yourself getting caught up in the small stuff, ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? The answer might just surprise you. Lesson 5. Keep a Stoic journal. The Stoics were big believers in the power of journaling. But for them, a journal wasn't just a diary of daily events. It was a tool for self-reflection, for examining their thoughts and actions, for holding themselves accountable to their principles. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, kept a journal that we now know as Meditations. In it, he reflects on the nature of life and death, on the importance of living with integrity, on the need to accept what is beyond our control. What's striking about his writing is how relevant it remains, centuries later. The challenges and temptations he faced as an emperor are not so different from the ones we face in our daily lives. His insights and reminders to himself continue to resonate. This is the power of a Stoic journal. It's a space for self-coaching, for working through life's challenges, for gaining clarity and perspective. Imagine ending each day by reflecting on your experiences. What went well? What could you have handled better? What lessons did you learn? Or imagine starting each day by setting an intention. by reminding yourself of your values and priorities. Over time, this practice can be transformative. It can help you identify patterns in your thinking and behavior. It can provide a record of your growth and progress. It can serve as a source of wisdom and inspiration. But perhaps most importantly, a Stoic journal is a tool for living intentionally. In a world that is constantly pulling us in different directions, it's a way of staying anchored, of ensuring that we are living in alignment with our deepest values. So consider starting your own Stoic journal. It doesn't have to be perfect or polished. It's a space for you to be honest with yourself, to reflect and grow. You might be surprised at the insights that emerge. Lesson 6. See obstacles as opportunities. Life is full of challenges. From minor setbacks to major crises, obstacles are an inevitable part of the human experience. But the Stoics had a unique perspective on these challenges. They saw them not as mere inconveniences or misfortunes, but as opportunities for growth and development. There's a famous Stoic maxim that encapsulates this idea: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, obstacles aren't something to be avoided or lamented. They are the very things that shape us, that teach us, that propel us forward. Think about a time when you faced a significant challenge. Maybe it was a job loss, a health issue, a relationship ending. In the moment, it likely felt devastating, like your world was crumbling. But looking back, can you see how that experience shaped you? Can you identify the lessons you learned, the strengths you developed, the new paths that opened up as a result? This is the Stoic perspective in action. It's not about sugarcoating reality or denying the difficulty of our experiences. It's about finding meaning and purpose in them, about using them as fuel for our growth. Of course, this is easier said than done. In the midst of a crisis, it can be hard to see the silver lining. But this is where the other Stoic practices come in: reflection, journaling, controlling what's in our power. By regularly practicing these techniques, we build the resilience and perspective to face life's challenges with courage and wisdom. So next time you face an obstacle, remember this lesson. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to become stronger, wiser, more compassionate? By shifting your perspective, you might just find that the obstacles in your path become stepping stones to a more meaningful life. Lesson 7. Practice gratitude. The final Stoic lesson is perhaps the most powerful: the practice of gratitude. In a world that constantly tells us to want more, to achieve more, to be more, gratitude is a radical act. It's a way of appreciating what we already have, of finding contentment in the present moment. The Stoics understood that true wealth isn't about material possessions or external achievements. It's about the richness of our inner life, the quality of our relationships, the depth of our experiences. Practicing gratitude is a way of tapping into this wealth. It's about shifting our focus from what we lack to what we have, from what's going wrong to what's going right. Imagine starting each day by listing 3 things you're grateful for. It could be something as simple as a warm cup of coffee, a kind word from a friend, a beautiful sunrise. By deliberately directing our attention to the good in our lives, we train our minds to see abundance rather than scarcity. This practice has been shown to have powerful effects on our well-being. It can increase happiness, reduce stress, improve sleep, and even strengthen our immune system. But gratitude isn't just about feeling good. It's also about cultivating a sense of perspective, of recognizing our interconnectedness with others and with the world around us. When we're grateful for a meal, we're not just appreciating the food on our plate. We're recognizing the labor of the farmers who grew the ingredients, the skill of the chef who prepared the dish, the good fortune that allows us to enjoy such nourishment. When we're grateful for a friendship, we're not just enjoying the company of another person. We're celebrating the mutual care, trust, and support that enrich our lives. Gratitude, then, is a way of seeing the world in its fullness, of appreciating the web of relationships and experiences that make up a life. So consider incorporating this practice into your daily routine. Keep a gratitude journal, share your appreciations with others, take a moment each day to savor the good. You might be surprised at how this simple shift can transform your outlook and your experience of life. And so we come to the end of our journey through the 7 Stoic lessons for mastering your emotions. We've covered a lot of ground, from understanding what's in our control to practicing gratitude, from reflecting before reacting to seeing obstacles as opportunities. But these lessons are not meant to be merely intellectual exercises. They are invitations to a different way of living, a path to greater resilience, contentment, and wisdom. Implementing these lessons takes practice. It's a daily choice to step back from our impulses, to examine our thoughts and feelings, to respond to life's challenges with courage and grace. But the rewards are immeasurable. By applying these Stoic principles, we gain a greater sense of agency over our lives. We learn to navigate the ups and downs of the human experience with equanimity and purpose. We develop the inner strength to face whatever life throws our way. So as you go forward from here, remember these lessons. When life feels overwhelming, come back to what's in your control. When emotions are running high, take a moment to reflect. When faced with a challenge, look for the opportunity. And through it all, cultivate a sense of gratitude for the richness of the human experience. The Stoics understood that life is short and unpredictable. We don't control the length of our lives, but we do control the depth. By living with intention, by mastering our emotions, by appreciating what we have, we can make the most of this brief and precious existence. So go forth and live like a Stoic. Embrace the challenges, savor the joys, and find your anchor in the midst of life's storms. The wisdom of the ages is here to guide you.